Let's freaking go, baby. We are here. Let's go. What is going on in the world of LSU football? Right? The big news today was that wink, wink, nod, nod from Mike Scarborough, who knows way more about recruiting than I do. I just do the analysis, and he drops his report that Dante Moore to LSU is looking more likely by the day. And this report drops while Jaden Rashada, another five-star quarterback, is currently in Baton Rouge. So obviously that is a gigantic story, but an even bigger story is something that a really prominent college football analytics account actually reached out to me about this week. And it is your permanent cross division, and it's not even cross division, just your permanent teams. Would you guys mind a world where Alabama is no longer on your schedule each and every season? Now, they can be if you make it to the playoffs. And if it is a 9-game schedule, you would still play them probably every other year. But would you guys still like Alabama to be a part of the annual LSU season, where it is guaranteed that LSU and Bama are going to be playing in Tuscaloosa and Baton Rouge? So right now, the polls, would you be okay if Alabama is no longer a permanent team on the schedule? 65% of you say yes. 35% of you say no. What is very fascinating about that is I not only put this poll up on tonight's live stream, I also put it up on the YouTube community page. Would you guys mind? And apparently, a lot of you want Alabama to stay on the schedule. So I'm a little shocked by the poll results. Look at this from Chris. Yeah, it's crazy. What if they both commit? That would be absolutely insane, which obviously wouldn't happen. What's up, Skipper, the Master Blaster? Jared's here. Coop DeVille. What's up, Pierce? Glad the Baton Rouge wedding went well for you. Jacob was one of the first people in the chat tonight. You're going to love it. And a round of applause. Reed is finally back. Good to see you, Reed. Comment section is always a little more litty with Reed in there. Good to see you. So yeah, obviously for me, Coop DeVille, I've touched on this quite a bit. I would much rather the 3-6 schedule compared to the 1-7 schedule. We'll get into that. That's a little bit more SEC general related. We obviously want to focus mostly on LSU football right now. And that to me is the biggest story. On a macro scale, the biggest story is who's going to be LSU's permanent rivals when the conference decides on their new scheduling format. If it's a 1-7 schedule, LSU would only have one team that was permanently on their schedule. And that, of course, would not be Alabama, because there will not be a world where Alabama and Auburn do not play every season. Okay, that is not going to happen. Now, right off the jump here, as we welcome in everyone to the chat, I am very happy to be back. We did an emotional thing on Sunday night. We did a last-second late-night chat where I just thanked all you guys. It was a very emotional, deep weekend. Going to King Robert's passing, that was obviously something that sucked. But a big thing was I got to meet a lot of you this weekend. And we shout out to Tony for the first super chat. And Tony, anytime I get a $20 super chat, you guys know I go straight to it. But Tony, I do want to pause just for a second. Once again, shout out to our friends at Pricey Collection for supporting us. But Tony, I think you're going to be really excited about this, because you were also a big supporter of us when this happened. I do have a really cool announcement to make, and I promise you it's going to be worth your time. Boom. You guys have seen this photo on our community page. What's up, Rick? I love seeing Rick in the chat. As you guys can see, this was a pretty big moment for my career. Not only because, Jeremy and I have become friends. That is obviously really, really cool. But what makes this moment even better is I'm a sports memorabilia nerd. As many of you know, this jersey in the back used to just be a regular jersey. Now I have an actual game-worn jersey right here that Jay Hill signed, and I really appreciate him. We actually went on a boat with some of his friends. It was a lot of fun. And Jay Hill is going to be on the channel Thursday night for the second time. So go ahead and mark it down on your calendars. Jay Hill will be back on with us Thursday night at 8. So obviously, he is going to share a lot of what we talked about together. We spent a lot of time together talking about football. Obviously, he didn't know this, and this wasn't the reason why we met up. It was part of the reason, obviously, to talk ball. As many of you know, I'm working on a running back deep dive, and I know I've been talking about it for weeks and weeks and weeks, but I knew at some point Jay Hill and I were going to get together, and he has given me, obviously, a lot of game on how to really evaluate running backs, because he would know and I wouldn't know. I know a little, but I don't know as much as that guy. Okay. So obviously, Jay Hill will be back. And let me know when you're back, Tony. Tony, type Y for yes, type in for no whenever you're back. So I'll wait and answer your super chat. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, Tony, yeah, I'm very blessed to have this in the background. So once again, Jay Hill will be on the show Thursday night. And Tony, you're going to have to be there. That's the only guarantee. We all know Jay Hill loves Tony. Let's go to Rick here while we wait, because Rick hasn't been here in a while. Good to see you, Rick. So Rick and I actually agree on a very hot college baseball take. We're not going to talk about that because this is a football channel, but I know Rick Blake wants to fight you and I over this take, so it's perfectly fine. Thank you, as always, Jared, for your support. As many of you know, Jared, every time he donates at least $10, it goes a long way in helping us build this channel. So really excited about having Jay Hill back. That was, top 5 live stream. All of our guests have been fantastic. And that obviously helps out, because I did have a pretty big guest, and we've had to push it back. And, I hope we're able to get this guest on at some point. Someone that I love dearly, who's one of the best LSU football players of all time, working on that. But Jay Hill obviously is also one of the best LSU football players of all time. So he'll be back here on Thursday night. What's up, Mick? I'm glad you are feeling better. Nurse Cord, good to see you. Jacob. So there you go. Now, let me talk a little bit about the Dante Moore thing. And Chris, I know you follow recruiting really closely, so feel free to help me out on this. Look, Dante Moore and Jaden Rashada, it's kind of hard to say who's better between those two. But what we do know, and this is just a simple truth of the situation, even if you like Jaden Rashada just a little bit better than Dante Moore, the truth is really simple here. In recruiting, you have to have a 5-star quarterback want to be there, right? You have to have a 5-star quarterback actually like Baton Rouge. And look, Jaden Rashada might fall in love with Baton Rouge. He might think Baton Rouge is the absolute best thing, but based on actual actions, it is without a doubt that Dante Moore loves Baton Rouge probably more than any other quarterbacks not named Ricky Collins, right? This is a guy who shunned Notre Dame and Michigan for LSU spring game weekend. Thank you so much, dear beloved. I appreciate it. Lime beer tonight, fruity beer for celebratory back in the studio. For me, guys, I want the quarterback who wants to be at LSU more. And right now, just based on their actions, Dante Moore really wants to be in Baton Rouge. I know it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for him to say no to Michigan. It's going to be tough for him to say no to Notre Dame. But what Mike Scarborough reported, once again, this is his reporting. He's normally a pretty elite recruiting reporter, that there is a 2024 5-star quarterback whose last name is Carr, ironically. As many of you know, that is a big name in Michigan football. I don't know if there's any relation, but I actually saw this from my buddy James Yoder, who's a really talented Michigan YouTuber. And Yoder tweeted out this photo of a Twitter like from one of the 5-star 2024 quarterbacks, this Carr kid, of his mom crapping on the Michigan offense, saying that I don't want my son to go to a school where they hand the football off 30 times a game. So it looks pretty much set in stone that Carr kid is not going to go to Michigan. And it looks as if he is going to go to Notre Dame, which, if Notre Dame gets a 5-star quarterback in 2024, that would make Dante Moore less likely to go to Notre Dame, but that could make him more likely to go to Michigan. But once again, Scarborough is saying that Dante Moore has a better shot of actually going to LSU now. And any kind of positive reporting on that kid, I feel great about, right? Really special, pure pocket quarterback. Reminds me of a little bit of a Stafford. He doesn't have that type of arm talent. Not many people do, but he is a pocket assassin. He really does. So we shall see. But, so CJ Carr is Lloyd Carr's grandson. Thank you so much for that, BK Takeover. That is pretty crazy, though, that his mom would, I don't know if it was true. I don't know if it was Photoshop, but I saw that. I was like, God, it's a crazy tweet to like. Yeah, Pegasus DJ Lagway. So this is it. And this is the comment that I always get. All right. I get this all the time. On any 2023 quarterback deep dive, I guarantee you 2 people always make this comment and make me out to be an idiot, right? They making this comment is essentially calling me an idiot, saying that I am wasting my time breaking down all these 2023 quarterbacks because they would never go to a school where Walker Howard and Garrett Nussmeier are currently located. And they're both really young and they both haven't played at LSU yet. And they both might not play for LSU this year. And they'll probably both come back potentially. I don't know. And no 5-star quarterback is going to go to a school like that. That is such hogwash because every school you go to has quarterback competition. Every single one of them, especially now with the transfer portal. You can't go to a top 30 school anywhere and there not be quarterback competition and there not be a guy that's been there at least a year or two that was a top 250 recruit or a high-level 3-star. Every school has quarterback competition. So don't come at me with, well, Dante Moore isn't going to go to LSU because Walker Howard is there. Well, the Christopher Vizina guy just committed to Clemson, and they just got Cade Klubnik, the number 1 quarterback of 2022, right? It is stupid. Everywhere you go that's an elite school is going to feature quarterback competition. Every single one of them. There is not a school where it's not going to be intense, right? So, look, Eli Holstein just went to a school where Bryce Young, Jalen Milroe, and Ty Simpson, okay, a 5-star, high-level 4-star, 5-star quarterback. Elite quarterbacks know everywhere they go, you're not going to play. You're not going to play year 1. Now, you can go to UL Lafayette and you can go to San Diego State or just any non-Power 5 school and start year 1. But even then, only 1 quarterback plays. Only 1. So stop it. Stop it. If you're watching this now and you comment that under every video, because I always get it, it is not worth your time. Quarterbacks know that there's going to be competition everywhere, and the transfer portal is there. So you might as well go to a place that you actually want to be, where you're going to be happy. Okay? Exactly. What's up, Bruce? Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey, what's up, Ryan? Good to see you. It's crazy. You give Brian Kelly a lot of credit for at least being, on the radar. And keep this in mind, okay? If you were to pick one top 100 quarterback that LSU would be in good contention for, you would have guessed Eli Holstein, right? Because the quarterbacks coach coached his older brother at Louisiana Tech. So you would think that would be the connection. But no, these are 5-star quarterbacks from all around the country that are interested in LSU. Now, is LSU going to close the deal? I don't know. I don't know. Who's your opinion for a permanent rival? Okay. So I want to shout out Dave Bartu. I am helping him with something. He reached out to a bunch of SEC personalities. Um, he's a college football analytics recruiting guy. He's been in the business a long time, and he knows 10 times more about college football than I do. Okay. I've learned a lot from Dave over the years. And he asked you this question. And this honestly, Tony, comes down to a simple philosophy. A lot of you, and Joe Sloan, I don't know why I didn't say his name. Of course, our top viewer from Ruston, Pierce, is going to remind me to say Joe Sloan's name. I like it. Joe's done a good job. He really has. Now, who is your opinion for the permanent rival? Let's just say LSU plays one. Let's just say it's a 1-7 format where you play one team every year and it's a rotational of the other 7 so you can keep the game at 8 conference games. Okay. My opinion for a permanent rival has to be, if it's a 1-7, it has to be somebody. Oh, you want to show? She just got a cut. There she is. Look at that.
Look at the camera, Mama.
She just got a cut. I mean, just freshly cut. She's
7 o'clock. Picked her up.
Just picked her up. But if you were to pick one permanent rival.
Today's shoes. Oh.
I go in there and squeak with your toes. Look at her. So blessed. 2 cuties. So, Danny, Arky or Ole Miss? So here's the thing about the one permanent rival. It's going to have to be somebody that rationally would be your permanent rival. So if it is a 1-7 schedule format, which in my mind, I think it's actually going to be a 1-7 because a 3-6 just makes too much sense. And you guys know in sports, when something makes too much sense, it's not actually going to happen. So, Tony, if the schedule is a 1-7, Ole Miss and Mississippi State would be each other's permanent rival. Alabama and Auburn would be each other's permanent rival. Georgia and Florida would be each other's permanent rival. So the bottom line is this. The only team that would make a lot of sense for LSU's permanent rival in a 1-7 would be 2. It would be Alabama, and it would be not Alabama. It would be Texas A&M.
Come on, Mama. You want to go play? Come on.
Let's go play.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. It would be Alabama, and it would be not Alabama. It would be Arkansas, and it would be Texas A&M. Those would be the 2 teams that would make sense as a permanent rival. Arkansas would be ecstatic if LSU was their permanent team because LSU views Arkansas as their number 1 rival. It's true. They get up for the Golden Boot every single year. It's a big deal in the state of Arkansas. It's not a big deal in the state of LSU, but just look at the landscape. If it's a 1-7, there's no one else that is really LSU's big rival. So would you rather it be Texas A&M or would you rather it be Arkansas? Okay. It's not going to be Florida because Florida and Georgia would be matched up. Right? If it's a permanent, Florida and Georgia would be matched up. Okay. They want to keep as much history with that permanent. Now, for me, I would like to play Florida every year for the end of eternity. Not the way it's currently set because it's unfair the way it's currently set. But Florida is the game that gets me the most excited every year, right? I know it's Alabama because, the stakes are always so high, but it really is Florida, okay? But here's the thing. If there is a one permanent schedule, you should be happy if it's Arkansas. That gives you a huge competitive advantage because you wouldn't be playing a top 15 recruiter every single year, okay? Would you rather play Arkansas every year? Would you rather play Texas A&M every year? Okay. What about Auburn and UGA? They've played more than UGA UF. If it's a 1-7, Auburn and Alabama would be each other's permanent. Okay. So if it is a 1-7 and you have a permanent team you play every year, you got to start matching them up. Okay. So this is it right here. If it's a 1-7, that one has got to make a lot of sense, right? A big selling point of SEC football is history, okay? If you are going to take away Georgia and Auburn playing every year, which is a big deal to both of those schools. I don't know why Auburn still wants to do it, but it's a big deal to both of those schools because it's the oldest SEC rivalry. Then you better make sure Auburn and Alabama stay together. And you better make sure Georgia and Florida stay together. If you take away Alabama, Tennessee, well, maybe who would Tennessee's permanent be? Vanderbilt? Probably so. So it's just the truth. So for me, I still stand by it. I think if it's a 1-7, LSU's most rational ones would be A&M and Arkansas. And I would much prefer Arkansas. Number one, it's my favorite rivalry. I grew up in Arkansas, but objectively speaking, Florida is my favorite. But a 1-7 is also A&M would make a lot of sense there as well, because you would avoid the A&M Texas thing, which still doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Texas and Oklahoma could still play each other every year. Then A&M gets LSU. So that would make a lot of sense as well, right? That's true too, Rick. That's true. So, Tony, to answer your question, if it's a 1-7, there you go. I do want the 3-6. I do think the 3-6 would be the best way to do it. I know a lot of you don't want a 9-game conference schedule. And let's be honest, if this was an Arkansas live stream, if this was a Kentucky live stream, if this was a Mississippi State live stream, I wouldn't want a 3-6 either, right? Another conference game takes away a rent to win from your schedule. College football is still going to push these teams to schedule Power 5 non-conference games. College football is still going to want that, right? So if you're Arkansas, if you're one of these middle tier SEC teams, you want to make sure you can guarantee as many wins on the schedule so you can get to 6 wins. Now, as an LSU fan, we're top 15 recruiters, right? LSU by default is going to have more talent every year than Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Tennessee, every year. Now, they're not going to have the most experienced team, but the raw recruiting talent, LSU is always going to be better. All right. So that might be part of the reason why I'm okay with the 9-game conference schedule. But the truth is, a 9-game conference schedule is needed. And I was talking about Dave Bartu a minute ago. We had actually gotten, not an argument, we had gotten back and forth in Twitter, on Twitter about this. A 9-game conference schedule benefits you, right? It benefits you, the viewer, because you get better games. Okay. What I want to do, because one of the strongest, quote unquote, strongest arguments against the let me pull up SEC Week 12. So I want you to look at this SEC schedule from Week 12. Okay. And let me pull it up from 2021. And I want you guys to see this for yourself. Okay. And tell me if you think this is good for the Southeastern Conference. I slobber a little bit. That was kind of gross. But I don't know if you guys saw it that much. I want you to take a look at this schedule, though. Okay. And tell me if you think the Southeastern Conference is good for having this as once again, this isn't a week 1 schedule. This is a week 12 schedule. So you got Georgia and Charleston Southern, New Mexico State and Kentucky, Prairie View and A&M. Okay, you got Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee State, Mississippi State, all a part of this crazy week 12 slate. We also got South Alabama and Tennessee, UL Monroe, LSU, and then 3 other crappy conference games. At least they were conference games. Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 conference games. 6 conference teams that played win-a-wins in week 12. Is that good for the conference? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Is that good in the second to last week, November, when college football is at its absolute best? It's late November. You have the rivalry games. You have the Heisman Trophy around the corner. The college football playoff debate is hot. You have all these SEC seasons shaping themselves out. You have teams trying to get bowl eligible. You have teams trying to make it to the college football playoff. Legacies are being set. Recruiting is amping up, and wins mean a lot. Tell me if 6 non-Power 5 teams in week 12 is good for the conference. It's not. It's not. It's not. And a 9-game conference schedule would help prevent that. It would. It's simple logic. It is simple math. Now, could all the teams get together and say, hey, for this week, we're all going to schedule non-Power 5 teams? Sure, but do you think the television contracts that is only going to up the ante for how much they're paying for this is going to be happy in week 12 with that many Charleston Southerns on the schedule? It's not good. It's not good. Now, Dave Bartu makes a good debate. I'm going to try and get him on this channel. He says, look, Carter, the data proves this to be true, and it is true. I trust Dave on this. SEC players do get injured more, right? They're better players. They're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. And we're actually going to talk about this in running back week. I had a great conversation with Jay Hill about this. It's just true, okay? That's not to say the Big Ten and the ACC don't have really good players. Doesn't say anything about the Pac-12 either. They have put a lot of great defensive linemen in the top 10 of drafts pretty much every year, right? But the truth is, SEC players do get hurt more. And an 8-game SEC schedule is oftentimes stronger than a 9-game Big 12 schedule. It just is, right? And I believe that. I really do. Especially now that the bottom half of the SEC is where it is now. But at the same time, we can all acknowledge that playing rent-to-wins in week 12 of the season is not good. It's not. And you better be lucky that Sam Pittman had Arkansas ready to play, because that week would have sucked for SEC games. It would have sucked. That's true, Brody. But you can also rest your starters a little bit more in rent-to-win games. Tommy! Look at the photo. We got the full family photo. I love it, Tommy, Tracy. Look at y'all cleaned up on the beach. Look at the water. That water right there is very, very drinkable. I feel like is that the water that's in the rectangular bottles? You know, what's the name of the water? The fancy water. In the rectangular. That's good. So this is it, Pegasus. It won't go 9 if the playoff stays at 4. Right? For the SEC to go to a 9-game conference schedule and the playoff doesn't expand to 12, they're not going to do it. Greg Sankey has been open about this, and I've seen it at the press conferences. The SEC's job is to get teams in the playoff. It's where the money is, right? So you won't see a 9-game conference schedule if for some reason the playoff stays at 4. It's not going to stay at 4. There's too much money to be made. I'm shocked it wasn't initially 12. And also the SEC is not going to make its own playoff. That's not going to happen. I feel pretty confident that that's not going to happen. So once again, as Big Al always reminds me, we are 30 minutes into it. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share it. think of that one LSU football fan you can think that and let them know that we have some of the best college football content on the planet Earth. Okay, Playa del Carmen, Mexico. But yeah, so the way the television contracts work, and I've read about this, it's kind of hard to explain, but the playoff is not going to expand with the contracts and Texas and Oklahoma, and it's not going to expand until 2025 anyway. So the way things are, I think they're going to stay the same. 2025 would be a very convenient year because that year LSU plays Clemson and Georgia on the same schedule. And I think both of those games are on the road. It's Fiji. Rick said Fuji. It's Fuji water. It's fungi water. The Fiji. Look at that. That looks like some Fiji water. And a very happy wedding anniversary. The 18th. It's only the 7th. Oh, you have a wedding anniversary on a Saturday. You feisty man, Tommy. Huh? Hey, you better be doing something big. Better be doing something big. See here. What did I want to play here? Okay. Crap, where'd the video clip I put in here? Oh, since I was going to play a video clip here, a lot of you have been talking and bringing this up about discipline in honor of Jeremy Hill coming back on the channel on Thursday. Here's an interview with one of our best guests ever on PHL. And I'll go ahead and say it. Since he's a current player and he's going to help us win a lot of games, probably our best guest. None other than Jack freaking Besh talking about accountability right here. Let's go.
Yeah, so he made basically he picked 10 people to pick and to draft these teams. So these 10 people drafted their teams. And basically what it is instead of the coaches being real involved with it, even though they are, obviously, it puts a lot of stress on the players, like within the team to build and grow with each other and to also be able to like hold each other accountable. Like we have a thing called a wellness check that's due every day at noon. And we want everybody to be green, the whole team to submit their wellness form. And if you see somebody on your team that hasn't done it yet and it's 11:30, you call them, just like a little piece of it. But not only the person at the top of the leader, it can be whoever on the whole team. It's just everybody holds everybody accountable.
There you go, Jack Besh, right there. So Jay Hill's going to be bringing that heat. You know it. Let's go to Blanche's super chat. Shout out to Jack Besh. Haven't talked to Jack in a while, but I know he's going to have a big season. So if you like interviews like that, Jeremy Hill's going to bring it on Thursday night. It's about the money. ESPN isn't going to come to the table and offer more money for a 9-game season. The contract is already inked. There's no money in it. There's no reason to do it. I agree with this. I have a tough time believing. I have a tough time believing that you are not going to get a 9-game conference schedule, especially knowing that the CBS deal was like $55 million a year, and this ESPN deal is going to be like $300 million a year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I just have a tough time believing that the SEC is going to be like, no big deal. We want more Georgia Southern games to play on ESPN Plus at like 5 a.m. Let's get more of those games on the schedule, right? Yeah, Michael, what's wrong with playing? Michael doesn't like seeing Jack Besh. I guess you're a Jack Besh hater, man. I don't look like Grand Isle Water. Ha, ha, ha. Thanks again, Blanche, for the super chat. I wonder who's going to do the $9.99 match. Every time there's a $9.99 donation, I start seeing $19.99s. I start seeing $29.99s. Maybe we get a hundo. We haven't had a hundo club member in quite some time. And if you are a hundo club member tonight, a hundo club member is going to get this DJ Chark autograph card, and a piece of his jersey is in this card right here. So that is going to the next Hundo Club member. And there you go. See here. No, I know, Michael. I also wanted to make sure Nurse Court was still awake because she loves Jack Besh. There we go. So we had our first bot in there. So you notice that means the bot is subscribed to PHL because I have subscriber only mode. So I can go look at my subscriber list now and see that that bot site is a member of the PHL community. So there you go. So yeah, that means the bot is a PHL subscriber. Just trying to figure out who's going to join the PHL T-shirt club tonight, Chris. And Chris will tell you this is such an elusive club of the greats, right? The best of the best, right? Like Nurse Court, your shirt is currently being mailed to me, and I'm not going to say I actually ordered a special autograph for you to be a part of your PHL T-shirt order. Nurse Court, is this been you the whole time? Tennessee, Auburn, Vandy. Alabama won't get Vandy. Watch the bot drop a Hundo Club. At the bot, a Hundo Club member. I'm gonna be like, hey, if you can help me start my OnlyFans, I'm totally down. The BK takeover. Now, as far as some other news and notes surrounding LSU football, let me say this. This is I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'm going to touch on this just a little bit, but I am very excited to see these Joe Burrow clips and Jamar Chase clips. Just a practice or just practice clips. It's good to see Tyrann Mathieu in that Saints uniform. That's all I'll say about that. I won't do too much NFL stuff unless we get a super chat. If you guys want to talk LSU and the pros, I will happily do that. As far as like recruiting is concerned, I'm very interested to see what these next couple of weeks look like for LSU's recruiting. I saw a good chart from friend of the channel, J. Bud Davis. We did a video surrounding some of his analytical breakdowns of official visit studies. LSU still has a lot of official visits that they can dole out, which is a good and a bad thing, right? They're behind other schools as far as like the number of official visits they've given out. So it does seem LSU has been a little bit more deliberate in their recruiting, right? And who they're offering and who they're trying to get on campus. It's very interesting. And that's obviously just 2023 official visits. They've done a lot with 2024 as well. So we shall see. How much y'all schedule a real team like Notre Dame? Ha! We shall see. A real school. Real school. All these other schools are fake, but Notre Dame is a real school. I like Clemson added to the SEC. It's unlikely. Nurse Court, it's kind of crazy. I'm going to be honest, since I was driving all day, I never got around to finish reading it. I know that the kid was from Neville, right? The LSU fan that offered Nick Saban the $5,000 to retire. A lot of people said, well, it's so classless or whatever. It's a high school kid. It's a funny story, right? I wouldn't take that as, well, LSU fans are just trying to get this guy to quit because they're so scared of him. No, that's not what it is. He wins a lot, right? And if he is no longer at Alabama, they're not going to win as much. And college football is a very schedule driven sport. And if Nick Saban is on your schedule every season, you're more than likely going to lose that game more often than not. For us, 1 out of every 10 to 12 years, we lose that game or we win that game. So here's my final thing about the Alabama thing as far as the poll question is concerned. If not, we will update the poll question. Let's see here. Would you be okay if Alabama is no longer a permanent team on the schedule? Okay. And to end the poll, 2 out of every 3 of you say yes. Okay. So this is why I agree with this. National championships aren't remembered for who you played to get there. When you see a national championship plaque, the only thing you ever see on a national championship plaque is the year. It's not the teams on the schedule. It's not how arduous your journey was. And it's honestly very unfair, right? Because, for instance, is the 2007 LSU team objectively better than the 2011 LSU team? No. They not only lost more games, they also got a ton of luck to get to that national championship game where the 11 team got obviously very unlucky having to play Alabama again, even though they beat them in their house in the biggest game, regular season game in the history of the sport. So yeah, national championships are unfair because when you look at national championship years, they lack context. Now, why do they lack context? Because most college football fans don't have the time to see every last break you have to catch to go into a national championship, right? So for us LSU fans, we remember every game as a part of the journey, but ultimately, most fans don't. They just care if you win it or not. And with having Alabama not on the schedule every year, it makes it a lot easier to get to the college football playoff. Remember, to get to the playoff, it is more important to avoid losses than gaining wins, right? Especially if you're already in the SEC. So Alabama avoids what has been, more often than not, a loss every year on LSU's schedule, okay? And if you can avoid that, all the power to you. But we would likely play them in the SEC championship or in the playoff. True. So avoid playing them twice, right? So if it is a 3-6 schedule and that's the format of the schedule, more than likely you're going to be playing them every other year anyway. And I could break that down as to why that would be the case. So you're still going to be seeing them a lot. And if you're good enough, you're going to be seeing them on a bigger scale than a regular season game anyway. So for me, I am totally fine with Alabama not being on the schedule anymore. But that's the thing, William. When you win a title, you beat the best anyway. Because if Alabama is so good, you're going to see them in the SEC championship or you're going to see them in the college football playoff anyway. So if you win a natty, I want to be the best. No excuses. Okay, well, best could be very subjective, right? For me, in 2019, I thought Ohio State was a better team than Clemson, right? I thought they were the second best team in the country. Didn't play them, didn't matter, right? Is Alabama the best program in the country? Yeah, but you're still going to play them once every other year permanently. It's not an annual thing, but it's a biannual means 2 times a year. It's an every other year thing, whatever the term is for that. You're still going to play Alabama a lot. So to me, it's not really that big a deal anyway, and I would rather it be the other way around. Beer cans and baddies? Not sure, but I know Georgia's 3-0 against Notre Dame. Any more questions? But what is this? I forgot. What's Georgia's record versus LSU in the last few times they've played? I can't recall for some reason. I'm like since 2018. What's the count there? I don't know. Kind of forgot. Semi-annual. I'm not scared of anybody. It's just rational, right? The SEC's tough enough already. Sip G, good to see you. I'm just kidding. Beer cans and batty. Esteban, boom, good to see you. Carter, you want the easy way out? Sorry, bro. I was always told if you don't want to be the man, you got to beat the man. I'm not ducking any smoke. You want to be a paper champs. So tell me this, Reed. When Florida State won their national championship back in 2013, does it not count because they didn't play Alabama? Now, I'm just asking. Plus, if Alabama is the best, theoretically, you would play them in the SEC championship anyway, or you would play them in the playoff anyway. Jacob, they should be coming in the next few days. Sorry about the delay. I don't know what the production delay is for. I've had these things ordered for a while, so but they are coming in, and I am sending you a few extra really cool autos. You're going to like it. So, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's not so much that I'm afraid of playing Alabama every year. It's that Alabama only loses one game every season, right? Nick Saban has proven this time in and time out. They only lose one game a season on average. Okay? With a 12-team playoff, if that's the case, you're going to rematch them. Okay? If they really are the best. So regardless, you're going to have to play them. That was a great game. I have to show Beer Can some love for that. That was a great game. Shout out to Jarvis, Matt, and those guys. But that's the thing. Just because Bama is not on the schedule doesn't mean that your schedule is full of chump teams, right? The schedule is still going to have Georgia, Florida, Texas A&M, Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss. Those schools might not be Alabama good, but they're good. Chump teams? Is every other team in the SEC a chump team just because they're not Bama? I would send you a lot of. I'll send you one of my big Fournette cards if you join the Hundo Club. I got a few really cool Fournette cards over here. That I said I would never give away. But Jacob, you're becoming a big card guy, so I'm gonna show you some love. Let's see here. Rick, you rushed the field. I love it. That was such a great win to thoroughly beat down that team. What made that win so great was how many Georgia fans were there. I mean, Georgia fans packed that house, packed because they knew that a lot of them in their lifetimes would never get to go back to Tiger Stadium. You're not guaranteed to live 12 years from now. One out of every 12 years. Let's go to Mark here. And I will make A&M the next Alabama for the next 10 years. Stay away from A&M. Okay, so I'll talk about this just very briefly because then this gets into a Saban Jimbo kind of thing. And this is, mostly an LSU football channel. We touch on other stuff. And obviously this is related to LSU. A&M will not be Alabama for the next 10 years for this reason alone. The first is Nick Saban never called offensive plays, okay? Offensive plays and just the offensive side of the football affects the game far more than the defensive side of the football. So while Nick Saban had some elite offensive coordinators, Lane Kiffins and the Steve Sarkisians, even his not so great OCs were good, right? Jimbo sucks as a play caller. And I don't know if his pride is ever going to allow him to let someone else call the plays and make the game plans. They are stale. They're antiquated. They have gone for it on fourth down the least. They are just far too conservative. Now, their skill guys haven't been up to par. And you can win a national championship at A&M with the way Jimbo's recruiting and make a team that's Jimbo proof, kind of like, LSU made a 2019 team that was Ed proof, but A&M will not be Alabama for that reason. And the second reason is Nick Saban still exists at Alabama, and Brian Kelly is going to make LSU, might not make them Alabama good, but he's going to make them, I think a lot of us see LSU with a relatively high floor with Brian Kelly. The SEC is just tougher. It's tougher. A&M will not run the SEC for the next 10 years. I don't think A&M fans believe A&M is the next Alabama. Cool. You want a recruiting national championship. You got the best recruiting class of all time. You had a top 5 class the year before. If you aggregate a top 5 class, you're going to eventually win a national championship. I just don't see them with the elite every year dominance because I don't think Jimbo's as good of a coach as Nick. Now, if there was a coaching draft, Jimbo would go in the top 10. He is a very good coach. He recruits well. Unless it's beefing with Nick, he normally says the right things at the podium. He's a really good program runner and builder. You've seen what happened to Florida State when he left. You've seen what happened to Texas A&M when he joins in. But he cheats and money. It's part of the game, right? I have a lot of respect for Jimbo, but a big reason why I didn't want him at LSU is one of the most important things for your program to succeed is top-notch play calling. And I think your program is better off when the play caller is not the same person as the head coach. Now, there are some people who have that talent where they are the play caller and the head coach. Obviously, Lincoln Riley is one of those guys, but that obviously, Lincoln is limited in other ways, right? He has other weaknesses. Jimbo's not going to run the SEC. He's just not. That's not Texas A&M hate. I don't like A&M and Alabama equally, right? It's just the truth. Oh, snap. Congratulations to Greg, part of the dad club. Okay. Greg, you've been watching me for a long time now. I am not a dad club member, but I did have a dad who was very involved in my life, big part of my life. And Haley's dad has also become a big part of my life as well. And I have seen the Super Dads of PHL in action. Okay. I see a lot of you keeping up with the kiddos. I follow a lot of you on social media. It is the most important thing you'll ever do. Okay. Is be a super dad. So shout out to all the super dads. And most importantly, the super moms of PHL. Shout out to Danny Girl. And one of her sons is a diehard Bengals fan. So shout out to you, Danny Girl. That's obviously really cool. Big Al, there you go. It's big time, Greg. So I guess we got to have a PHL baby shower. We need to have all 90 of us go to Alabama and have imagine all of us going to a baby shower. I'm going to show up with my lime beer and Crocs, my lemon pepper steppers. Does somebody use that phrase? I don't know. I kind of want to make that my own thing. I'm going to walk up in my lemon pepper steppers. I'm going to show up. I'm going to put my case of Abita strawberry down to the ground. Greg's ready for us. Oh, well, Sib G, shoot me an invite. June 25th. Can I make that? Oh, yeah, Skipper. I forgot to shout out the grandpas of PHL. Jared just became a grandpa. Skipper, you've been a grandpa for a while now. Look at Skipper's sons and the fam right here rocking the PHL gear. I love it. It just warms my heart seeing the kiddos wear the PHL shirts. I know it's Blake's line. I had never heard of that. When I heard that for the first time, when I heard the phrase lemon pepper steppers, I laughed so hard. I didn't know what they were. It just rolls off the tongue so beautifully. Oh man. Oh, you're a pawpaw? I love it. Pawpaw. I had a pawpaw. There's a difference between being a grandpa and a pawpaw. In order to be a pawpaw, you have to be able to cook. Every pawpaw I know knows how to cook. Oh, Rick's joining the granddad club. I like it. I like it. Rick storms the field after games, and he's a granddad. I love it. I could see Rick 20 years from now when I don't know, Arch Manning Jr. is leading LSU to a national championship. Well, no, Arch wouldn't have a son that quick. But anyway, Joe Burrow Jr. is leading LSU to a national championship. I can see Rick storming the field in his walker. I like that. Oh, Skipper's a great grandpa as well? Dang, Skipper. I guess I got to shout out the great grandpas as well. Tony's a granddad. Across the lemon pepper steppers. You love it, baby. But anyway, yeah, I don't think you have to fear A&M running the SEC. For me, I'll touch on a few things here. You know, once again, feel free to super chat if you want to go to any other LSU topic. Once again, you know, the big story is obviously what these permanent opponents are going to be. I don't think we would know anytime soon anyway. I think the next big story is also, and it's honestly pretty simple, this Dante Moore story, right? But obviously there is more to the world of LSU football. I was actually rewatching some spring game and practice tape today, reached out to some people. I got to see some people this weekend in Baton Rouge that I trust, that have good intel, some of which have been to practices, which is obviously really cool. And let me say this, okay? Am I a little concerned about the depth of this roster? Yeah, I'm a little concerned just because the SEC is really, really good this year, right? I do think, you know, for me personally, you're going to see a lot of SEC teams with very good quarterbacks this year. And one thing that does concern me a little bit is how are we going to pressure the quarterback? Can we cover it on the back end? Are we going to see guys like Todd Harris play? Is Brian Kelly going to give Todd Harris another shot? Is Brian Kelly going to want to play most of the older players on this team? Okay. Shout out to Rob G. He's a great pawpaw as well. Are you a great pawpaw or are you a great pawpaw? If that makes sense, right? Are you saying I'm a fantastic pawpaw, or are you saying I have a son who has a son who has a son? It's kind of hard to explain because great could be, an adjective. Isn't an essential adjective though, because great pawpaw would be a proper noun. So with that, is great an adjective? And I don't know. Todd Harris is still around. Did not transfer. Let's see. Type Y for yes. Great grandkids. Look at you. Look at you, Rob. I love it. Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Sage Ryan will have a breakout season. Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Or is it year 3 for him? Is he a year 3 breakout guy? Look, we've seen some 5-star defensive backs not break out till year 3. Jacoby Stevens, Craig Lawson. We've seen it. Ryan says no. Pierce says yes. Williams says no. Nick says, is the south side in this mother for ya? Yeah. Where's my Jagged Edge fans? She mama. She tried to go Mimi? This is deep LSU breakdown. When it gets to the Mimi pawpaw time of the chat, it's kind of crazy that we have so many Mimi pawpaws. Isn't it past y'all's bedtime? Surprised y'all are up this late. I love it. I freaking love it. And oh man. I kind of want to go to Sip G's baby shower. That'd be kind of crazy. Hey, who's this guy? Yeah, watch him on my phone all the time. Never seen him before. Why does he have a monobrow and a bunch of gray hair? Rob Blaine says no, and Rob says no. William says no. The youngins say yes, Age. It's your bedtime, Boomer. Oh, man. I love it. Freaking love it. Good super chat here. How fast will Harold reach his breakout year? It's in Akron, Ohio. Braun's going to be there. Rob, I think he's going to help out right away. Now, is it going to be like he starts and like dominates games? No, but I do think this is a very interesting situation, Rob, where it's kind of crazy how these characterizations of what position you play actually happen, right? So here's a good example. How did it ever get out that he was a linebacker, right? Because most of his career has been at running back, Most of his highlights are as that running back. Under Armour All-American game, he's playing running back and defense, but running back. Did some college coach say, hey, we like you at linebacker? Or was he doing drills as a sophomore at linebacker and everyone on recruiting profiles just labeling him as a linebacker and everyone recruited him to play linebacker? Everyone projected him to play linebacker, even though his running back tape is unfreaking believable, right? I don't know. It's very strange. Because he's a unicorn in that rarely happens. Normally, like a player gets listed as an athlete. I don't know why Harold Perkins was not listed as an athlete unless he made it clear that he was going to want to play defense to the coaches, right? Because if that happens and the kid is choosing where he wants to go, well, if he wants to play defense, teams are going to oblige and say you're going to play defense. But I listened to an interview where, he did at I believe the Polynesian Bowl, where Florida was selling him playing everywhere, right? So that's going to be the hard thing, Rob, is trying to figure out where his best position is. But when I tell you he just jumps off the film. He breaks tackles. He brings guys down. He's playing faster than everybody else. He's got ridiculously good ball skills, ridiculously good anticipation, reads the game really well. He never looks flustered. The game never seems to be too big for him. And what's crazy about that is like he's not like he's a big dude. He's 6'2", 210. That's relatively big, but that's not like massive, right? I just think the world of that kid. Now, a lot of it's going to come down to whichever position he plays, Rob. Is he going to go 1,000% at it? Because, someone mentioned, Nathan, good to see you again. Looking fresh in the suit, man. You saw the Devin White contract. Part of the reason why Devin White was so good was when he got to LSU, he said, I'm a linebacker. I'm going to focus on being the absolute best linebacker. And, well, he became the absolute best linebacker in the modern era. I don't know if there's a debate there. You can debate a lot of people. I think Devin's that guy. So we'll see. And the interesting thing about it, Pierce, is, okay. Yeah, Danny, I don't know. That's the interesting thing about it. I'm not sure if that question has been asked. I just think you look at a kid and then you just say, well, he would be a really good linebacker. But I don't know. Like, I've listened to a ton of interviews. Maybe I'm missing something, how that even started, right? Maybe I think, Danny, one thing that, as far as Harold Perkins' running back tape is concerned, that was a little strange to see, is that they did run the veer. Okay. So it's kind of hard to evaluate running back prospects that run the veer, because the veer is normally run by like 2 and 3A schools, right? That doesn't have a quarterback on the roster that weighs over 150 pounds. So that they have to run the veer. But yeah, it's like the triple option V or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it's very interesting. But if he does play linebacker, I want him playing off-ball linebacker year one as a later enrollee. I don't know. I just kind of would want to use him as a pass rusher off the edge and just go out there and find a way to run down the quarterbacks. I do think already on this roster, he's the best at chasing down quarterbacks and actually bringing them down. And that's the one thing that Harold Perkins does give you on defense is he's going to be the best guy at chasing guys down and making plays. Something else that I really like about him, and this is where you see some of the Tyrann Mathieu kind of plays he makes, is that he does have a lot of good ball skills, right? He catches the ball cleanly. The ball just happens to bounce when he makes contact with it, and that's obviously a good thing. We want strip sacks. That could be part of it, Rob, as far as like running back lifespans in the NFL. It could definitely be it. Marcel Brooks, true. See that. Yeah, Mickey, he makes some of those ball skill strip sack kind of plays. But look, I've invested a lot of time into evaluating him. And I understand that if he doesn't work out, it's going to fall back on my face. I'm fine with that. Perfectly fine with that. I said a lot of bold things about Jack Besh coming out. It worked out. I also said some bold things about some other players that didn't work out. Thought Mo Hampton was going to be a great safety at LSU. Didn't work out. I could argue that the scheme was the scheme or the worst defensive scheme I've ever seen. So you hit some, you miss some. Fine with saying Harold Perkins is the best player in 2022. We'll see. There's a lot of good ones. So there's going to be a lot of Walter Nolan fans in the chat. Luther Burton is a very interesting guy in Missouri. Kind of like that he went to Missouri. HP's length would be wasted at running back. Yeah, so let me put it this way. Let me address this comment, okay? If you go look at like a metric like PFF's WAA, or if you look at EPA or anything like that, an elite pass rushing linebacker and an elite off-ball linebacker is going to have a bigger effect on the game than a decent running back. Now, once again, if you're Leonard Fournette, you're oftentimes the best player on the field. So, if you're an elite tier running back and you're touching the ball on every play, yeah, but not many people are that level, right? It's not many people that are that good at running back. And it's just true. But I will say this, right? If Harold Perkins becomes like a tremendous blitzer, pass rusher, linebacker, it's huge. And it is a bigger bonus to have one of those guys than to have a really good running back, right? Now, an elite running back that's like, once again, Derrick Henry, Leonard Fournette level, they're going to have a bigger impact on the game than an elite pass rusher just because they're touching the ball a lot. But for the most part, if you were to ask me, would you rather have a top 20 pass rusher or a top 20 running back? Probably going to take the pass rusher, right? Just because they affect the passing game, right? Now, this is an extreme example, but, Bama's got Will Anderson, right? And they got Dallas Turner. I mean, that's going to win them a lot of games alone. And they also have, a Heisman Trophy quarterback. LSU's pass rushers over the years hasn't been one of their stronger suits, right? Now, BJ's had really fine moments, okay? But for the most part, LSU's had a lot of really athletic defensive ends, a lot of good run and chase guys. But really, the only big sack artist LSU has had at their university that is a pass rusher in the sense that you're mostly an edge defender, was Arden Key, right? Sam Montgomery was a little bit of a run and chase guy, got a lot of coverage sacks. Mingo was a run and chase guy as well. Once again, really good football players. Chason was a run and chase kind of guy. The Aranda Jack linebacker, man, if Roy or Mason Smith get closer to, like an Aaron Donald of college football, it wins you a lot of games. It wins you a lot of football games because it helps your coverage on the back end and so on and so on. I don't think this is a hot take. I won't dive too deep into it because it is a little off topic. That's not a scorching hot take. I get what you're saying. Him being the absolute best athlete on the field at all times kind of hurt his NFL career, but now he's with Tom Brady, so it doesn't matter. But I could see that. Well, he's got Mike Jones and Ojolari. Those guys are going to help him out a bunch. Mo shined his first few games. Thought we had. Yeah, I know. Man, he was good in 2019. It's amazing how much your scheme matters, especially at safety, right? Because if a quarterback knows where the safety is going to be every snap, your defense is screwed. But the thing is quarterbacks knew where everybody on defense was going to be every snap. And still to this day, I will never forget that. Never. If you guys trip fumble, you get the ball anyway. I like that, Tony. That's good stuff. Let's see. All right, Rob, this whole question is going to be for you. Let's go to Tony's question here. Let me see if I can get this poll question up for Rob. There we go. Micah Parsons, I love it. Britt, thank you for your service. Good to see you again, 337 Bo. It's been a while. Would you agree that we have one of the best collections of wide receivers in the league right now? I hope PK doesn't waste that. They don't have one of the best. They have the best. I would take LSU's receiver room over everybody else. I know Bama has, a lot of youth, and they got the guy from Louisville and they got the guy from Georgia. They're fine. Ole Miss's tight end Trigg is going to be very interesting, but still Ole Miss's receivers aren't great. Arkansas lost Burks. I would have loved Xavier Thomas to be a part of this LSU class. He went to Mississippi State, though. Then in the East, Georgia does return Mitchell, good receiver there. Georgia's got the best collection of tight ends, so that factors in as well. But yeah, LSU's receivers are the best in the SEC. Now, would you take them over Ohio State's receivers with Harrison, the Emeka kid, and obviously JSN? Jackson Smith and Jigba. I would. And it could just be that I would take Jack Besh over Marvin Harrison's son. But yeah, I think LSU's got the best receivers in the country. I'm not sure if any other position group though on LSU's team is top 3 in the SEC, maybe outside of defensive line, right? And top 3 is really hard, right? Because Alabama's going to be top 3 in mostly everything. But yeah. Deeper than the 2019 room. Deeper is an interesting question. They're not better. No, I wouldn't say deeper because Sullivan was a good receiver in 2017 and 2018, right? Derek Dillon was a very good player. So, and then Racey McMath was also in that room. And then, of course, the guy throwing the football is a big deal to do with all of their success. So that 6, and then Jeray Jenkins was number 7 versus, 2019's better. They're deeper and better, right? But I obviously this room is really, really good. Britt, thank you for your super chat. You get to pick the next topic after Michael B. Okay, I'm loving the super chats flying in. Good to see you, Zach Lee and Tigers Avenue. BK's offense usually featured a traditional tight end. We don't have that. What type of scheme do you see BK running to compensate for that in year 1? I think next year they like to have a very good tight end. Yeah, so they've already got 2 top 150 guys committed, which is obviously a really good thing. Now, obviously, as far as like the tight end position is concerned, once again, Britt. So before I get to that, because Britt is in such a really cool uniform, I want to dive into Michael's super chat very deeply. So, let's see. Sorry, I'll clarify. 6'2" running between the tackles is not overwhelming. That's a combo length and athleticism at linebacker where you're in coverage covering gaps. I do agree with this as well. Look, Harold Perkins, 6'2", 215 is a really good running back size as well. It obviously just depends on your build. What's very interesting about him is the strength and conditioning program is kind of in a tough spot, right? And we're going to talk about this during running back weeks about like college football running back weight. We'll trust you, Britt, you're going to love those breakdowns. I've been working for over a month now, and Jeremy Hill gave me a lot of good insight that's going to make it even better. So I actually deleted everything I'd uploaded and I'm recutting and doing it all over again because it provided me, some insight that me as a non-running back, especially a non-NFL, non-all-SEC running back, the perspective I couldn't have, right? So yeah, I will say this though, and Jay Hill will talk about this on Thursday, so I'm going to let him do that. But he actually does think Harold Perkins is a really special running back. Once again, I would take his opinion far better than mine. I think he's a really good running back too. I really do, and I do think him being in the veer is different, right? Because in a veer, if you get a handoff in the veer, the direction you're running in oftentimes has to be the direction you're running in. It's it's kind of hard to get really creative in it. You just got to kind of run the play. So it's going to be very interesting. So thank you so much, Brett, for your super chat. Thank you against Jared. And that's the thing, Tony. We'll come back to that question one day. But yeah, let me see. And Tigers Avenue, this got me thinking. BTJ, Jeray, Besh, Malik. Yeah, 2019 still deeper. They're still deeper, right? Because then if you really want to get creative, would you take Jamar or Kayshawn? I don't know. I would consider that. I mean, I'd probably still take Jamar. I would consider it a push, though. We'll see what this last year of Kayshawn looks like. But I take Besh or Jets. You guys know I love me some Jack Besh. I love Jack Besh. We'll see how these next few years play out. Still, it's a very strong 1-2, versus a legendary 1-2 with the success that they've had in the NFL. I think when you get into this 3, 4, 5 range is where you get Terrace Marshall, Derek Dillon, who had a huge catch in 2018, won us that Auburn game. 2019, phenomenal. And one more thing about Derek Dillon, most underrated play of the 2019 season. Okay. And I promise you, Michael, you know how much I love talking tight ends. Let me share this one play from 2019. So the Auburn game was a game that we got very lucky to win. Okay. 23-20. We ran 88 plays. Okay. Offensively. And their defense still held us to our lowest yard per play by a wide margin. We actually got very lucky that Derek Dillon made the best onside kick recovery I've seen, because that kid hustled and played his role. He could have sulked when Jamar and all those guys, beat him in the depth chart, and he never really played. That kid saved us, because if we don't get that onside kick recovery, Auburn probably drives the football down and wins that game, because Stingley got hurt and Delpit was out, and we were playing a lot of backups, and their offense had started clicking. So Derek Dillon, that play never gets talked about. That was one of the best plays in LSU football history. Auburn ran a very creative onside kick play. It got Patrick Queen running the opposite direction, and the onside kick recovery was really hard. The ball squirted out, and Derek Dillon sprinted and got that recovery. It was such high football IQ, and I mean, no one ever talks about that play. I'm still blown away by it. Then TD versus Mississippi State. Okay. BK's offense usually runs a traditional tight end, and we don't have that. What type of scheme do you think BK runs to compensate for that in year one? I think next year that they lock down a very good tight end. So the first thing here is, let's start with Brian Kelly's history. It is true. Brian Kelly is a tight end machine. I think it's not hard to disagree with this. Notre Dame's tight end and offensive line development, it's kind of hard to say any position is the absolute best, because college football has so much variety. But his offensive line and tight end development obviously it's been the best. And he goes to a school in LSU, which is, those positions have not been LSU's best. And that's not just an Ed thing. That's been the case over 2 decades. Now, it's not to say that LSU has that great offensive linemen and tight ends. It's just when you look at pro success and just college success as well, it's never really been something that has been a strong suit of LSU. LSU, out of all teams in the SEC, not named Mississippi State, ran the most 10 personnel last year, which is 4 wide receiver sets and no tight ends. Depends how you characterize Jack Besh. The analytics guys called him a wide receiver. It's what he mostly played anyway. So, we ran a lot of 10 personnel, where Cincinnati and Notre Dame ran a lot of 12 compared to other schools. Now, to make this even more interesting, is Joe Sloan at Louisiana Tech ran some of the most 10 personnel in college football last year as well. So you have an LSU roster that ran a lot of 10, that doesn't have a lot of tight ends, and a quarterback coach who ran a lot of 10, and you have 2 guys that historically featured tight ends. Very interesting mix of offensive minds, okay? And your passing game coordinator, Cortez Hankton, comes from Georgia, which is a major tight end factory. They have the best set of tight ends in the country, and there's not really anyone close. So very interesting mix of that. But ultimately, it's Brian Kelly's decision with Mike Denbrock. They're tight end guys. They like traditional tight ends. I am not fully sold on Cole Taylor. I've always said if there was a year that he was going to break out, it would be year 3. I think he's a little awkward in the run game as far as blocking is concerned. And yes, he did make some really nice catches in the spring game. But let's be honest, it wasn't Jimmy Graham in the back of the end zone. It wasn't, Thaddeus Moss dragging his toes versus Alabama. They were very simple, wide open catches, right? They weren't 50-50 balls that he was bringing in. Okay. So I'm not totally sold on Cole Taylor, but he did look better. Nick Storrs is very interesting, as is Jack Mashburn. We both know they can block really well. In particular, Jack Mashburn has put some great blocking on tape. Okay. I don't think LSU needs to force playing a tight end just to do it. Okay? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Do you feel comfortable with LSU's tight end room right now? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Like LSU has a bona fide Thad, and Thad's a really good player. Foster Moreau is a really good player. Let's just say type Y for yes, type N for no. LSU's got at least a watered down Foster Moreau on their roster right now. Okay. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Okay. Foster Moreau is a really good pro, really good player at LSU. Yes, BK will develop them. I would tend to agree with this, but at the same time, Roger, none of these tight ends are Brian Kelly's guys, right? Like, I think a big part of developing is recruiting the kind of guys you want. Now, Mason Taylor is a guy that obviously he was committed, but, that was someone that Key recruited. So that's one of his guys, right? So it is a little bit different, but I hope you're right. Tigers Avenue says no. Rob, one of our sharpest viewers, says no. Cole, Beer, and Taylor. Britt believes in Cole Taylor or just a tight end room in general. Jacob says yes. Pegasus says no. John, what's up, man? Welcome to the channel. Yes. William says no. William will call it like it is. That's what I like about him. Mick believes Mason Taylor is a year one tight end. I hope you're right. I've got to say this. Tight end's a tough position to be good at year one. And that's not just a college thing. It's a big thing in the NFL. Rookie tight ends. It's a really hard position to play just because of the variety of things you have to be able to do. Right? So if they can catch and just not block, then you have options. Well, the issue is BK and Mike Dimbrock like to run the football. They like to have a resemblance of a running game. And that's, Pierce with the Joy Taylor comment. Not going to comment. I am a recently engaged man. I'm just kidding. Joy Taylor's gorgeous. Haley would tell you that as well. And she is, I love Colin Coward. I love that show. I've always liked Colin pre-Joy Taylor. I think Joy's the absolute best. She's great. But yeah, Joy Taylor and Baton Rouge. Are you kidding me? Goodness. And look, light skin. I mean, BR's home to the light skin goddesses, baby. Let's go. But shout out to all the Creole viewers of PHL. Let's go. My fellow Creole. But yeah, Mason Taylor, I think he's going to be year two. He did get better his senior season. I know Mick watched that high school game. You emailed me why you watched it. But yeah. Well, Roger, I think every guy's mind jumps when they think of Joy Taylor as a broadcaster or she's super talented. And I mean, come on. She's gorgeous. There's no other way around it. Oh, Britt thinks Jack Besh. Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm actually down with it. I know that that's not popular, and I know Jack Besh has been mostly working with the receivers. I am totally down with Jack Besh playing the hybrid tight end again, though. His blocking was fine. I mean, I'm down with it because you get an elite receiver and you get a decent blocker. I know he would prefer probably to play wide receiver. But I'm not one of those guys that just wants to play suboptimal players just because they fit a certain definition, if you get what I'm saying, right? So let's see. But yeah, I'd love to have Joy Taylor on the show, though. But I mean, I couldn't imagine like what your DMs would be like. Well, I've seen it actually. If you're a girl in sports, it's just crazy. Huh? Oh man, I get a lot of crazy DMs. I couldn't imagine like what they get. But first part of your question is I don't know. I hope Cole Taylor turns into freaking Brock Bowers next year. But I don't know. You guys know I root for everybody that plays for LSU. I root in particular for 3 stars. Mason Taylor's a 3-star. Mashburn, Stores, 2 stars. I cheer for all of that. Brian Kelly's got some bona fide tight ends coming in next year, though. But yeah, Michael, if you don't have any tight ends, you have to run 10, right? I don't think you're going to play with the fullback. So you got to run 10 personnel. And I think what they're going to do is actually get very extreme with it. And you would see it sometimes in practice. They would run 12, right? And then rotate to 10, which would be very interesting. Or they would go from 12 with, and we did a spring breakdown of this. So 12 personnel is 2 tight ends, 1 running back. 11 personnel is 1 tight end, 1 running back. And 10 personnel is 1 running back and no tight ends. So the first number represents the amount of running backs, and the second number represents the amount of tight ends. Okay, so I always should explain that because it should be a part of every football broadcast because it does make it simpler once you get those numbers down. And yeah, so you would have to run more 10 if you don't have a tight end you can trust. And that's just a simple truth. Or Jack Besh plays tight end, and you force him to play tight end. But for me, I think Jack Besh is the second best player on the team. So, that would guarantee him being on the field at all times. Atari and IL deal. So thank you, Michael B, for the super chat. I always appreciate your support. I always love the photos of the dogs in the lake. Here's what I always say, though, about the dog photos, okay? I like updated dog photos, right? So I would love to see more photos of the dog, right? I met a ton of dogs this weekend in Baton Rouge. Got to see a bunch of old friends, LSU staffers, all that good stuff this weekend. It was cool. So, yeah. LA Mom, so I shared this just a minute ago. Let me share this. Good to see you again. And your perfect attendance for live streams. Shout out to LA Mom. Is still good. So Jeremy Hill will be on the show Thursday night. We'll talk about some of the things that we talked about while we were hanging out this weekend. Obviously, that's really cool. Appreciate Jay Hill rolling out the red carpet and giving us this new signed jersey. So he gave me a lot of insight that, I can't have because I didn't play running back at a high level. So I shared this earlier. I'm actually scrapping a lot of this stuff because I'm reevaluating a lot of the stuff I've done over the past couple of weeks. But what I will also tell you, LA Mom, is and a lot of you have asked me questions about this study. It's not going to be like some revolutionary thing, but it is going to make you rethink certain things about certain running backs. And this is going to lead into some of the Patreon stuff we're going to do, and you're going to love it. This is always the number one thing. And this is something that Jay Hill talks about just openly, right? There are a lot, and I mean a lot, of running backs who can run through a wide open hole. LSU, we could talk about their lack of first-round offensive linemen. We've had good run blocking offensive lines. Like, it's just existed. Now, these past couple of years has been a little bit different, but once we started running counter, our offensive line got a lot better. We've had some great run blocking offensive lines. The difference, though, is a lot of running backs can run through wide open holes. A lot of running backs can, accumulate 1,000 yards if they get 20 carries a game. The difference, though, are the running backs that break tackles and make guys miss. Okay? So, because I've been pushing this off so bad, a big part of what we're going to be talking about on Running Back Week is for you to really reevaluate how valuable a certain running back is to an offense. Because quite frankly, there's not many that truly do move the needle, right? I can name a lot of wide receivers that can move the needle at the college level, right? Because a lot of wide receiver play is individual. You got to get open, and you've got to give your quarterback a window. Running back, there's not much individual greatness at running back. Very few people can make other 220-pound linebackers and safeties miss. There's just not many of them. This guy was one of them. And I'm not just blowing smoke just because he's been in our chat and he's going to be on the channel again. I'm not just saying that just to say it. Okay? He made guys miss. Not many LSU running backs can. And if you can't make guys miss and you can't break off long runs, at least push the pile, okay? Think of Jacob Hester. Think of the Stephen Ridleys, right? Not home run hitters, but you better guarantee it. If it's 3rd and 1, they're going to get you that yard. So the thing is, like, for instance, Brian Robinson of Alabama. Was he a great running back at Alabama? He was fine. But how many guys did he make miss? How many truly special runs did he have? Not many. All right, Mick, we'll see you on Thursday. LA Mom, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate you and your perfect attendance at live streams. It goes a long way. William, thank you so much. So, yeah. So that's going to be a big thing about running back week. There's a lot of backs, and it's not just LSU. There's a lot of backs that we consider to be good, but they mostly accumulated yards through perfectly blocked plays, worn down defenses, and, defenses that would make mistakes. But the Fournettes, the Geises, the Hills, and the Clyde Edwards-Hilairs, they made a lot of people miss. They just did. And, of course, Clyde had the benefit of playing with Joe Burrow, and the other 3 didn't. But Clyde made a lot of crap happen. And what made it very interesting is he had to, Jay Hill had to do this as well, but, he had to really earn his carries, right? Because, to start the year, they were splitting time with him and Leonard Fournette, right? And I don't know if that was nepotism because, you could see that, there's probably no bigger gap between 2 running backs you'll see in the same offense. And that's no disrespect to Leonard, but, Clyde went out there and just won that job. And I think having that chip on his shoulder made him really tough to tackle. He read the game so well. So when you think of running backs, ask yourself this question. John Emery can still be a B+ level back and succeed. But does he need to be A level? Do we need him to be as good as these guys, especially if we're going to run the football more? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Does LSU have a true home run hitter in this offense? Does LSU have guys in that backfield that make guys miss, that break off long runs, that are consistent in pass protection? It's a very, very interesting question. So, LA Mom, I'm glad you asked about it. I will say this: I've poured so much time into it, and you will see. I mean, I'm looking up analytics. I'm looking at NFL fantasy, how these dynasty guys know that James Conner is going to be the fantasy breakout. I look at all this stuff and I try to see what they see, right? I try to see what NFL scouts think. I've reached out to a few NFL scouts. How has the position changed? Has anything in the past years have anything to do with how we evaluate running backs now? Because look, we're in a passing game, right? Maybe the running back isn't relevant at all. Maybe you can win with someone who's just decent. Yeah, you don't beat Bama without Clyde. You just don't, right? Now I think I let's just say if Clyde for some reason couldn't play that game, we don't beat them. And I know Joe probably finds some way to win the game because he's Joe freaking Burrow. But the thing is the drop off from Clyde to the next guy, whether it was Leonard Fournette early in the year or TDP or whoever, Chris Curry. And Chris Curry got the job done, versus Oklahoma, but that was Justin Jefferson and Joe. But the issue is, if you go back, there was a 3rd and 1 early in the game. And we actually did a breakdown of this. If you go look at the LSU Bama film study from 2021, they actually gave TDP a very critical 3rd and 1 carry versus Alabama, and he had an open hole to convert it, and he missed it. And he ran right into a linebacker, and we had to convert a 4th down. And lucky enough, we hit Jamar on a slant and moved the chains. Yes, it's true. We don't win that game. We don't. At the very least, it's competitive all the way through because Clyde made a lot of crap happen. The hots, the leaping into the end zone, the catch right before the half. I mean, it's the best. I mean, you can Fournette versus Auburn's probably number 1, but obviously I don't know because Clyde had to make so many. Like, we just blew Auburn out. I think that was Fournette's peak as a football player just in general. And I don't think we've ever seen an LSU running back ever hit that peak, if that makes sense. But the variety of plays that Clyde had to make in that game is just, it was short yardage. It was every freaking thing. It just blew my mind how great he was in that game. Let's see here. Are you surprised with how it worked out with Clyde in the NFL? It's interesting. So they bring in Ronald Jones to Kansas City. He's not a pass catcher, so they still believe in him. And look, this pick was Mahomes, right? Mahomes texted the general manager and said, that's who I wanted. And it's kind of interesting, right? Because T. Higgins went to pick after them. And if the Chiefs had T. Higgins instead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they're winning all the Super Bowls. They're winning both of these last 2 if they had T. Higgins. That's how big of a mishap that was. And I hate to say it because, I like T. Higgins a lot. His stiff arm versus us was nasty. That was gross. But still, man, I hope Clyde breaks out because it's not just the T. Higgins thing. They do the Jonathan Taylor BS as well, and I hate that. So what? T. Higgins and Jonathan Taylor are great Pro Bowl level players, but maybe it does. Maybe it does work out this next year. And I think part of it is this. It's just everybody in the NFL is so much faster. And, Clyde's biggest trait was never athleticism. I feel bad because I missed live streams because of my grandson's graduation. Okay. We have exactly 69 viewers. Nice. And on 6/9, Jeremy Hill will be on the show, which is this Thursday. Be on the lookout. Is that 6/9? Yeah, 6/9. Let's go. If you have major life events, if you're working, I get these messages a lot. Life's busy right now. Deal with life. Deal with life. There's more important things than this, right? Now, is it my way I pay rent? Yeah, it is. Is it my existence? Is it my pride and joy? Is it what I think about every day? It is. Skipper, I know you're always going to be back, man. I like this. I'm on one. What's up, Unc? Clyde ran through players, ran around players, ran under players. That's true, but Fournette actually did literally run under that Auburn guy that didn't want to tackle him, number 28. Y'all know the play when he leaped over that guy. I mean, just hood ornaments left and right. I mean, Fournette was just, I mean, just beating them. I mean, that was such a bludgeoning. Man. God. Plus, it didn't help that that game was played on the surface of the sun, right? Did not help. Now, there's a lot of other great performances. Guys had that game versus A&M. That was crazy. Look, Jay Hill in the Outback Bowl, right? Anthony Jennings at quarterback. Jay Hill kind of put the team on his back. But obviously, I think Fournette versus Auburn, CEH versus Alabama is just, it's on its own tier as far as like individual game performances. I think Fournette, like, if this makes sense, I think college Fournette with the 2019 offense, he would have eventually figured it out. But, he wasn't that type of running back. But Fournette, after working with Brady and being a better pass catcher and doing those kinds of things, would, yes. But he was so athletic, it wouldn't have mattered. He would have killed in the 2019 offense. The underdogs. I love it. TM7CEH. Hey, I know Tyron ended up being a 4-star, but you guys know I'm a 3-star Louisiana guy. I always cheer for the 3 stars, baby. Yeah, the Thad Moss. That's a good point, Doug. Love it. That's right, Britt. It's good to have that Ridley, that Hester kind of back, where if you're giving them the ball and you need a yard, those two always got it. Those two were, I don't know how they did it. They just always got it. I don't know. Some people are really good at that. And, I'll share this as well. Some of it is just some guys have it. I think part of being a great running back is there is a certain mindset that you have to have, right? It's physical. You never know if there's going to be some safety coming off the corner and just disintegrating your leg. It's a scary thing, right? And it's like that at all positions, but running back, when everyone knows you have the ball, there's not as much deceit and deceptiveness. Of course, unless you're running like counter or anything like that. All right, Tony, we'll see you Thursday. You better be the first one in the chat Thursday. Cooper, good to see you. What do you think about LSU football this next season? Everyone, welcome Cooper to the channel. I love questions like this. I'm really happy if we win 9 games next year. I would really like a 9-win season. I think a lot of college football programs, not named Alabama, would be thrilled with a 9-win season. My question for you, Cooper. Golden State plus 3.5 on Wednesday? Not gonna lie, Golden State minus 4.5 was just too easy in game 2. I mean, you knew that they were going to come out. But man, we are approaching the end of the live stream. So if you do want to super chat and keep this thing going, I know a lot of you want to talk some NBA. We always talk NBA towards the end and different topics. I picked Boston to win the series. I did. Do I still feel that way? I don't know. This is the best finals that they've had in a while. And all I could say about this is thank God the Miami Heat did not make the finals. They are the worst watch in the NBA. I'd rather watch the Magic than, well, that's bold. Kyle Lowry's flopping is the worst. But anyway, if you guys want to ask me anything non-LSU football related, I'm very happy to do it. I am kind of shocked I did not get an LSU baseball question tonight. Round of applause. I love it. I hate when I awkwardly have to say no to an LSU baseball question. I defer to my buddy Blake and pretty much every other LSU YouTuber. They do the baseball thing. It's not that I didn't like watching them play. It's just I just keep it separate, and I'm not smart enough. I don't watch enough LSU baseball. Obviously, LSU baseball, they got to get more pitching, and that's the end of it. They obviously got enough hitting. Trey Morgan's a beast. Dylan Cruz is a beast. It was miraculous. I actually watched the comeback at Chimes, and Aaron's not in here tonight. I don't know why. It's kind of weird. Let me text him right now. I don't know if he's working late or not. So let me put this up really quickly. So if you guys like adorable stuff, one of our younger PHL members with Jordan, who's a big PHL supporter. He doesn't ever comment, but he's always watching in the background. And this was great. So here's Aaron right here. A lot of you are familiar with Aaron. Let me text Aaron really quickly. Kind of get worried because he is at every live stream. And the guy in the back is T-Pain. That's my college roommate. Okay. See there. And then obviously that's Cliff Prez in the middle. Yeah, you guys do good baseball stuff. So let me share with you my very novice baseball opinion, okay? obviously Gervais is, talented pitcher. Things just went awry. It's just pitching, honestly. They got it, and they obviously have enough hitting. I know a lot of you were wondering why Bianco was batting at the end. I don't know. Those things get really tricky, especially if you're playing like these high intense series. And I know it's a series, and it's not really a series. It's 2-game elimination. But these games are chaotic. I actually stayed up late and watched that Stanford Texas State game, and Stanford hit 2 home runs back to back to tie it, and then they hit a single, and Texas State put their ace on the hill to close it out. I mean, how lucky was that? And it was a winner go home situation. These games are random. They're high intensity, hostile, because you're playing the game at a ballpark that is within proximity of a lot of the teams in your regional. So you have these smaller stadiums that are jam-packed with chaotic fans, and you get these weird 22-6 scores. I don't know. I just don't know if there's any kind of strategy to winning these games. I just think you just gotta grind it out. But the bottom line is LSU's pitching wasn't good enough, and I haven't watched them all season to know if it was. I helicoptered in here at the end. I don't know if it was just that bad all season, but it's just not good enough. How do I think Arkansas will do in the Super Regionals against UNC? I don't know. I hope Dave Van Horn wins the title, though. Oh, yeah, it's your boy Cliff. Chimes is good. Chimes is good. I know, Jared. You need a meetup. Oh, so Britt's a baseball guy. I like it. I agree with this. I actually do. And I know LSU's got more talented hitters, but it did seem Southern Miss did a really good job never panicking this series. So I played AAU baseball. I wasn't great. I went because they included a trip to Six Flags for an AAU World Series. So I was like, okay, I'll go. I didn't play. I just didn't. I wasn't that great. But the only thing I knew to do was not panic when you lose by a lot of runs. Because in baseball, there's no time limit. Pitchers have to get full 3 outs. So make them work. Bullpen was good this season. They just ran out of gas. Doesn't play out pitch. Checks out. Shout out to Dylan Caruso. Tell me this, baseball guys and gals. Is Dylan Cruz I know he was player of the year. So I guess if you're player of the year, you kind of go up there with that Todd Walker, Brad Cressy tier of the legends. I know you didn't win the World Series. You didn't go to the World Series, but I think if you win player of the year, you're up there with Bregman and those guys. DJ LeMahieu, Mikey Matuk, Ray Frimes. I know those guys are probably a little bit next tier than those other ones, but still. You don't trust the Pirate. is winning game 3 of the finals. Man, I'm tempted to take the Warriors in the points. I am. I think Draymond's in their head a little bit. I do. So Tigers Avenue, you think Dylan Cruz needs? I think it's Zach. So I'll call you Zach. I know it's Zach Lee. I'm trying to remember the other host's name. Zach, you're the one I talk to normally. You think Cruz needs another year to join Bregman and Matuk and those guys? Jared Mitchell, college World Series MVP. Jared Mitchell. Beer's cheaper than gas now. Yeah, that's true. Oh, I got the brunt of that this weekend. I'll tell you that. The other one's Reagan. There you go. Zach, you're cool. Zach. I like Zach. You got my Zach Lee joke. I don't remember what that was. I think it was a Kentucky pitcher named Zach Lee or something like that. So yeah. Shout out to Pooh Bear, Golden Boot. I love me some Pooh Bear. That's Pooh Bear and Zach with Blake. Shout out to all of them. And well, not Blake. No, don't include Blake in there. Forget Blake. And Blake's the one that just in case y'all don't know, Blake's the one that operates these porn bots. I know it. It's him. Right when I said that, the porn bot jumped right in. I knew it. You heard my lemon pepper stepper jokes, and I am wearing my lemon pepper steppers tonight. Hope y'all send this to Blake. I'm rocking them, baby. I'm rocking them. The lemon pepper steppers. Yeah, so there was a Zach Lee who was a QB. Okay, that's right. Blake is running the bots. I can see it. The Rudy Poo is so funny. Well, all right, guys and gals. We're going to go ahead and sign off on this. Thanks to all our top super chatters. The usual suspects, I have to say. Got a shout out, as always, Jared A. Always bringing the heat. Shout out to Michael B. He brought a lot of good super chat juju in here tonight. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. LA Mom with the super chat. Rob G. Rob G's always been with me, man. Gotta love it. Even though Rob G does have my Craig Stelz auto, he does have, I believe, my Herman Johnson auto. That's a deep cut for you. He also has one of my Matt Flynn autographs. I don't know. I gotta track down Rob G. Gotta get those back. Also, we'll be giving out I don't know. I think I'm about giving out some of my Met autographs. Zach Mettenberger autographs. I love his signature too. You're gonna love it. So we'll see you then. Tomorrow we will have some type of video out. Maybe it's a Dante Moore video. Hey, Jacob, look, hold on to it. Here's what we're going to do, Jacob. Hold on to it. I want you save that hundo for the next live stream. Right? Because I don't know. If you want to drop a hundo club right now, I'll keep live streaming. But you can wait. Hold on to it. Enjoy. Treat yourself to 10 Canes boxes. Or actually, how much is a box? I didn't get any Canes in Baton Rouge this weekend. I didn't. I know that's sacrilegious for some of you. Let's see. What all did I eat? I ate a burger on Sunday. out of the lake. It was really good. Had some Jamaican food this weekend. It was really good. Played poker at LaBerge. That was good being back on the poker table. Someone treated me to a comp pizza. It was good. It was comped. His name was Vu. Very, very talented poker player. I made sure to not get in hands with him. And he treated me to a pizza. That was really nice of him. Met a lot of new, hopefully, subscribers at that poker game. So shout out to Jeff and Mike if you're watching this. And then for lunch that day, I had a leftover po' boy from Chimes the night before. So I had Chimes. And then for lunch that day, what did I have for lunch that day? I don't know, because, Baton Rouge has so many restaurants that I love. I try to make sure to go to as many as I possibly can. But then my aunt also cooks for me. So her cooking is better. No. On Friday, I got to say this. Okay. And King Robert would love this. Okay. King Robert would love this. Oh, Jared is still in here as well because Jared loved King Robert. So King Robert loved food. At his funeral, they threw like a little party because, in Louisiana culture, we celebrate. Funeral's not all somber. So, his family came together. It was a lot of fun. Shout out to Carol and Mitzi, two really good family members of Robert. And they had, I promise you, some of the best food I've ever had in my life. Like, did not shock me. And Robert always used to tell me that they would always just throw baller food. They had a crawfish fettuccine pasta with like these meat chunks in it. Like just hot mac and cheese, roast with some of that au jus sauce, mashed potatoes. They had beer, lemonade, and they had like this the best lemon cake and cookies. That was one of the best meals I've ever had in Louisiana. Top 10 meal I've ever had in Louisiana. Right? I expected them to do that. I didn't expect it to be. His family was just incredible. And I mean, Robert always used to tell me, "Hey, we eat good." That crawfish. You guys know crawfish pasta is hit or miss, right? It's hit or miss. Okay, so I don't know, Pierce. I might bring up my Raoul story. I love Raoul's. I went there a ton when I was in college, a ton, because I didn't have a car. And I lived on campus, so I had to just eat at restaurants I could walk to. And Raoul's, of course, is affordable, especially then. Now, obviously, the price of everything has gone up. So I ate at Raoul's a ton. I didn't go to Raoul's though. And then I ate, as you guys saw on Thursday night, Auntie cooked for me, TT. She was so much fun. You guys get to meet my aunt. And she was sweet. She was very sweet. Okay, so we had the popcorn. We had the purple drink. I remember we had the real purple drink. And we also had, and it was on the live stream. You can go, not this live stream from Sunday, but on past Thursday. And we had popcorn, obviously, but she made a shrimp pasta that was to die for. It was really good. Really good. She also had some fried chicken. And come on, it's fried chicken. So, yeah, I mean, it's great. And today I had 2 turkey sandwiches. Reggie, good to see you. I'm very happy your cancer is in remission. Good to see you. That was obviously that, Sunday night. Kind of emotional live stream. It's really good to hear that, Reggie. I'm happy for you. Yeah, Pierce, I'll save that story. Okay. And actually, you know what's funny, Pierce, is I think you follow me on Twitter. So if you want to know it, I'll share it with you. It's actually not a story where I'm the main character involved. So that makes it even more interesting. But yeah, juicy. I love Raoul's. I do. You have to admit, Jared, that was one of our funnest chats. right? TT's the best. She's the best. Like, she's the best human being I've ever met in my life. I'm serious. So she was a principal in the Baton Rouge school system for a long time. So, yeah, I mean, she's great. Jacob, I do. I have 4X shirts. I absolutely do. So yeah, let me know. All right, guys. We'll talk more about food. And next time we'll be live, Jay Hill. Once again, tomorrow night we'll have some kind of video up. Okay? Edit. Pound out. LSU. Bam. And tonight, turkey sandwiches. Let's go. It's obviously not one of our better meals, but turkey sandwiches. I gotta block this porn bot. I don't want to be a part of it. Let's go.